Hey everyone, welcome back. Today Carolyn and I are going to be reacting to mental health story times on TikTok. We figured that we're qualified because, hey, I'm schizophrenic, you have PTSD, so let's react, let's have fun, we're having a good time, and if you're down for that, let's get started.
Stand clear of the closing doors.
Staring at the blank page before you. Open up the dirty window. The sun illuminates the words that you cannot find bridges. Or something in the distance, so close you could almost taste it. Release your ambitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it.
Can you relate?
Yeah, I've seen this song before. Yeah.
That is true, because it's like trying to work when you have so much going on inside of you. It's so horrible, especially when you have to sit behind a desk and get work done, and it's just so many things are just popping up, and you can't stop it.
Yeah, or like even when you're trying to sleep.
You're trying to sleep, all those things just keep popping up. So that's what we pretty much came to. The conclusion of this one is that we can relate.
I worked at a mental hospital for 2 years, and while I was there were these two patients that were inseparable. Their names were Mary and Tom. While they were walking by the hospital swimming pool one day, Tom decided that he was going to jump into the deep end and sink to the bottom. Now, Mary jumped in to save him, and she swam all the way to the bottom and picked him up. Now, when the medical director found out about this, he ordered for Mary to be discharged from the hospital immediately. At that time, he considered her mentally stable because of her heroic act. Now, they sent me to tell Mary the news, so I went into her room and I was like, Mary, I got good news and bad news for you. Says the good news is you're being discharged because you were able to save another patient's life. Then I said, I hate to tell you this, but the bad news is Tom decided to hang himself in the bathroom with his bathrobe. At this point, I was a little bit worried because there was no type of reaction on her face. But then again, who am I to judge how people grieve? Just in case she didn't understand what was going on, I said, I'm sorry, Mary, but, he's dead. She didn't say anything, so I'm about to walk away and leave. But just as I get to the door, she says he didn't hang himself. I put him up there to dry.
Truth now.
That's definitely not a real story. That's a joke. You can't hang yourself in a psych ward. It's not possible. There's no hooks.
There's no pool.
And exactly, the pool was the biggest giveaway that this was a joke.
Yeah, because
there's no pool at a psych ward. Show me a psych ward where they allow a pool. If you have been to a psych ward where there's a pool, please let me know. And don't lie to me in the comments, please. Don't just say you've been, because I know there's going to be some trolls going through saying, I've been in a pool. Yeah.
Babe,
don't lie about it. Have you been at a psych ward where there's a pool? You try to get us, mister. Right, we're moving on because we are so sleuthing, you might call us Livia Benson.
One of the funniest canon events ever is trying to explain your mental illness to a man. I was trying to tell someone what I get anxious about, and they were so confused. I could not help but laugh during it, and I was like, you know what? It's not gonna make any sense. And he was like, you don't come across this way. And I was like, why? Because I'm hot, smart, relatable, funny, have an online presence? No, I actually fucking hate myself deep down, and I get nervous about literally everything. It's like, oh, is it like those panic attack things? Like when people get like, and I'm like, actually, it's worse. I just get so overwhelmed I sleep for 12 hours. Like, I just say, okay, night-night, and I pass out. And if I don't go to bed, I literally pass out. It's really fun and exciting. It keeps things interesting, in my opinion.
Just saying that you have a mental illness to the person you're dating, if the person you're dating has an adverse reaction, I think that says a lot about a person in the long run.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
you
obviously they need to have a good reaction.
But
understanding.
But I'm saying, even if that person was dating someone without a mental illness, but they didn't date somebody who had a mental illness, that's a red flag for a person who doesn't have one. Like, they wouldn't date the one who was dealing with one. You know what I'm saying? If you won't date someone that has some, little issue, because that issue is too much for you.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I feel like that's a red flag, because do you really see long term and say, what if you have kids? Or what if something's wrong with the kid? I mean, I'm kind of going overboard
you're going
here.
too much, but that's not even what she's talking about.
She's just saying that, I guess she's just having some trouble. But you know what, girl? You're beautiful.
I don't even think this is her everyday life. I think this is just, she's just saying, like, at her worst times, this is it. And it's trying to be like funny, relatable. Like, I'm always like, hey, I'm about to get like my period, so I'm about to be like, want to get a backpack and like move across the country and not talk to anybody in 2 days.
So you think her video was equivalent to your video that you just did right there?
Yeah, like you try to be like funny about your like
Oh, okay,
mental,
okay.
you know?
She's just having fun, is what you're saying.
I don't really know.
I have bipolar 1 and I get really severe depressive episodes. When I was younger, before I was medicated, I think I was about 18, I was so depressed and I was unmedicated, obviously, so I had nothing to kind of counteract the depression. So I just watched Shutter Island, and in Shutter Island, they make reference to a lobotomy. And I'd never heard of this procedure up until then. So naturally, I just start researching lobotomies. So I do this deep dive on lobotomies, and it just becomes a new hyperfixation of mine. So I'm reading about it, I'm like, oh my god, this just sounds amazing! I want one! Never mind the horrific origin story about this procedure. But anyway, I just start emailing mental health clinics, going online, typing in mental health centres, and I'm just writing this email like, hey guys, do you offer lobotomies? I think I need one. It was just like really awkward. They're like, yeah, look, lobotomies haven't really been done since the 1960s. Like, maybe you could try counselling, which, I mean, sounds super obvious. To me, at the time, I was like, therapy sounds like a lot of work. Like, let's just knock this on the head. Let's just get this done. I haven't got time for that. Just give me the lobotomy.
You know, when I was like 18, I really wanted a lobotomy. Like, really badly. Because I could not take what was going on in my head. But I wonder what happened to my great-grandmother. She was in a mental institution in 1925 and for the rest of her life. So I would not be surprised if she got a lobotomy.
Yeah, but so why is this girl saying that she wants it? She said she researched it, but isn't it bad? Isn't it?
Well, it was considered to be barbaric. But it could, like, I'm pretty sure that it could, like, completely change your personality.
Yeah, but
that's barbaric. They would go, I think they went in through your eye or something, and they would go shing and, like,
I know.
smack your brain.
Okay, besides that, though, like why is she, aren't there, like, bad?
I think that's why she's telling the story.
It's such a joke.
She's saying, like, I'm so crazy, I actually wanted a lobotomy,
Yeah.
but actually they said I should get therapy. Like, that's I think that's why she's telling the silly story. That's the whole point of the silly story.
Hi, my name is Lewis. I have schizoaffective disorder. Over the last 30 years, I've had some interesting experiences. I'd like to share one of those with you right now.
Okay, Lewis.
When I was younger, I was flying back home. And on the plane, there were a couple individuals that I thought were looking at me, were following me, and that wanted to get me. So it's a small airport. As we're landing, I'm figuring out the best route to escape. As we get off the plane, I take my route, zigzag between hallways, go inside a store, around the carousel, back out, run into the restroom, do a circle, come back out. And then I was like, okay, well, I lost them. And I said, geez, I'm really good at this. So I start walking out, and the person that was supposed to pick me up was there. And they're like, Lewis, where are your shoes? I was like, oh, I left them over there because they had trackers in my shoes. But now I lost them.
I would say Lewis is a tad paranoid, and he purposely left his shoes because of trackers. I've been paranoid before. I never left my shoes somewhere, but I have been paranoid. I have thought that turtles were once the government. I really believe that I thought turtles were George Bush, FBI, something, CIA.
You never told me this, and this,
I never...
Because this sounds like...
No, I was with my friend, and we were at the lake, and I swear to God thought these turtles were the freaking government tracking. So that doesn't happen anymore. I'm medicated now, but I did once think turtles were the government. And sometimes you just get paranoid.
What's a piece of trauma that you have that's funny? It has to actually be funny.
After a failed attempt, I was hospitalized, and I'm in a much, much better place. But in case you don't know, after you make an attempt, you are on a watch for 24 hours, which means that you have a nurse within arm's reach of you for a full 24 hours. And one of the nurses that was with me the majority of the time just so happened to be extremely constipated. He was farting nonstop, and it smelled absolutely disgusting. And I was like coming back from like alcohol poisoning. So I was making me throw up a lot. In fact, at one point in the middle of the night, I heard him say to another nurse that he had a 7-foot-long turd stuck in him. So when they moved me from the ER to the psych ward, I had a roommate, and I was so exhausted that I just like went straight to bed as soon as we got in there. And the entire night he was just farting his brains out. The next morning I woke up and he was finally gone because the 24 hours were up, and I joined everybody at the breakfast table, and I saw my roommate, and she was like,
giving me a very weird, disgusted look. And she was just kind of casually like, I wonder what that smell was last night, and kind of looking at me thinking that I smelled really bad or something. And I the first thing I said to this group of people was, oh yeah, my nurse had a 7-foot long turd stuck in him. Which actually ended up being a great icebreaker to join in the group. And yeah, I really hope that guy got his poop out, because he seemed to be in a more desperate situation than I.
Wait,
That's just,
what is this 24-hour nurse with you on a 5150 call? Is that a new rule, or is that a rule of the state that this person's from?
I don't know too much about the rules, but
I never had that. That's so not okay to do, because when you're like put in the hospital, when you're put to the psych ward, you should not be able to be subjected to something that disgusting.
Yeah.
You're not in a place where you want to be, and you shouldn't have to be even in a worse place.
like uncomfortable, more uncomfortable.
That's not okay.
And also, why was he telling you those things?
Like, he said he was
That's
saying it to
inappropriate.
another nurse. He said it to another nurse. But that's just not.
And
I
also,
mean,
how do you?
I understand.
Also, why would you say that to another nurse? And also, how do you know that? As a nurse, do you know that?
I know
Or
he was
making that up?
exaggerating, obviously. But like, it's just like I know this person thinks it's funny that this happened. You know, it's a funny story. But like, yet another reason the psych ward does not help people.
Ew.
Like, look at the people who work there.
Yeah.
They don't care.
All right,
Let's make this person as uncomfortable as possible.
I've given my anxiety a name so that whenever I have a panic attack, I can be like, Brian, what the fuck are you doing? You're not in danger. There's nothing wrong. We're nothing. I'm becoming agoraphobic. I need some pills. I'm ringing the doctor tomorrow for new pills, because I've recently took propranolol. I made a whole video about it. Propranolol is not working for me. All it is doing is giving me heart palpitations. And I'm not taking it, and I'm still getting heart palpitations. And it's not like I was taking the propranolol and telling myself, oh, it's going to be bad, so it was making my anxiety worse. Genuinely, I thought it would work, because everyone left such nice comments like, oh my God, yeah, propranolol's great, but it's not working for me. So now I'm just like, Brian, I tried to walk to the corner shop yesterday, and it's a corner shop because it's around the corner, and I had a panic attack and had to come home. I'm becoming agoraphobic. There's like 4 people in this house right now, and I'm shouting, and everyone's now shouting at me like, what are you shouting at? I'm shouting about my fucking brain. I've named my anxiety Brian. Brian is a little baby who needs to fucking sort it out. My life's good. This is what's annoying. When my life was at its worst, right? So let's say when I was a teenager, it was at its worst, where so much crazy stuff was happening. I felt fine, like not fine, but not anxious. But now, like, my life is actually perfect. Like, I'm doing the job I want. I've got a beautiful, healthy child. I'm relatively healthy. I've never been closer to my family. I've got some amazing friends. Why am I at my most anxious? Like, I feel like stability is what makes me anxious. Like, I need to create some drama in my life, because stability to me feels unstable. That's the only conclusion I've come to. Why is it that the best time in my life, I'm struggling the most? Why is Brian being a prick? I'm gonna ring the doctor. I need help.
I don't really get that joke.
There was jokes in there? Where was the jokes?
When she was like screaming at herself.
Oh, she named her anxiety Brian, tried to go to the corner store on the corner, had a panic attack, came home. She has a lot of anxiety, yet she's very stable, but she's unstable because she's stable and having panic attacks because everything is so right. Tell your doctor that whatever med he put you on that you were talking about, something I never heard before, but maybe I've heard about it in a different way because you're British or something, that it doesn't work for you.
Okay, first of all, maybe the meds don't work, yes. Also,
maybe the meds don't work? She basically just described how she took the meds and they didn't work.
Yes, obviously she needs different meds. I didn't really hear the whole thing. Okay, sometimes when you are brought up in a like chaotic home, right? That's what you think is normal. And so when you're in something more stable, it's like you don't recognize it and it's like weird to you and you feel like I'm kind of like uncomfortable. It's like kind of weird. You're like you're comfortable in the uncomfortable and the chaos. You get it? So that's why she needs therapy, I think, personally, to figure that all out. And also, yeah, try new meds. But I wouldn't just like attack her and be like.
I'm not attacking.
Or like attacking her.
I'm not. Listen, I know I'm loud, but I'm not attacking anyone. This is my advice. She basically said the meds aren't working. That's why I said get new meds.
I didn't hear that part.
That's just because that's my advice to people. When everyone tells me they don't like their meds, I always say get new meds. We've got more time.
I'm having a good day today. Yeah, you are? Yeah, it's like I'm getting a bunch of things done. I'm feeling pretty happy. Well, you should be worried. About what? Okay, is like something bad gonna happen? It could. Okay, but why would I just like start thinking about what bad things could happen? Because they've happened before. Okay, why are we crying? Because you've been hurt so many times before. But I wasn't even thinking about that before. I know. And now you are.
I understand being anxious, like things might happen, you never know, because you never know, like anyone can die. Like we know people that have been hit by cars and died. We do that. We know.
That's
it's like
why
out of nowhere. So, you know, there
street.
is always that worry that something can happen, but there's always worrying about it for no reason.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who cross streets and they don't die.
Yeah, but if I'm super careful, then it won't be me. Or if I count to 10, I don't think about the fear. I just count to 10 and then I cross the street. And then whatever. Or I guess I count to 10 and I get hit by a car. At least I won't be thinking about it. I'll just be like on 7 and then I'll be hit and dead. I don't know really know. It makes no sense. Continue.
Our holiday party this year, I told a story about my childhood that I thought was just really funny and relatable. And then everybody got really quiet. And one person said, I'm sorry.
That's funny but sad. But that's why I like when people share their stories, because I'm like, oh, it is relatable. You're right.
It is relatable. Somebody once shared a story with me, and I was just like, are you okay? And they're like, yeah! Isn't that a funny story? And I was like, are you okay? I think everybody has some sort of embarrassing story or just some story from their childhood that people would be very confused if they heard about it. Well, my brother and my cousins and we used to go into a pitch black closet and play the quiet game.
But I think that other people have done that though.
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
normal?
because like parents have like been like, shut up.
I don't think they told us to go into the closet.
So why did you do that?
That's the point of why it's so dumb.
You know, like everyone's grandma smacks them with wooden spoons.
My grandmother did not smack
I
me
think
with
maybe
a
it's just
wooden
an
spoon.
Italian thing. I don't know. Or maybe...
If you're Italian,
let me
have you
know.
been smacked by a wooden spoon by your grandmother?
Or a wooden
Leave
shoe.
us a comment
Or
if
a
you
wooden
have.
shoe.
Or a shoe.
A wooden shoe.
Wooden shoe. Wooden. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Michelle and Carrie Reacts. I hope you've had a great time. If you've gotten this far, leave a green heart. Thank you. So it's been great. It's been fun. We're going to go clean the house.